The secret of the family that overcame the curse: no one is rich for 3 generations, no one is poor for 3 generations. 170 heirs live in harmony, with no scandals, enmities, or lawsuits. This family is now entering the 7th generation with 170 heirs, and they still maintain their incredible wealth with assets worth $11 billion in 2016, according to Forbes. In many cultures, there is an old saying implying that the wealth of each lineage will dissipate over 3 generations, as in Vietnam, where we often say, no one is rich for 3 generations, no one is poor for 3 generations. In other words, wealth rarely lasts beyond the grandchildren's generation. Spending taxes, the dispersion of wealth through generations, and the unavoidable impacts of having a lot of money eventually put an end to a family's wealth. However, the Rockefeller family has defied all of that. This family is now entering the 7th generation with 170 heirs, and they still maintain their incredible wealth with assets worth $11 billion in 2016, according to Forbes. That's more than 100 years after John D. Rockefeller became America's first billionaire after founding Standard Oil in the late 19th century. However, what's even more remarkable is that this family still maintains unity, without the scandals, enmities, lawsuits, and typical tragedies that often appear in other wealthy families. There are now over 250 members of the family who are direct descendants of John D. Rockefeller and Laura Spelman Rockefeller. One thing that can't be overlooked is that the Rockefellers started very wealthy. The Vanderbilts, Carnegies, and Astors did too, but you would never see them give away billions of dollars like the Rockefeller family. In May of last year, Christie's auctioned off the late David and Peggy Rockefeller's collection, which included art and valuables worth over $500 million and possibly up to $1 billion. All proceeds were donated to charity. Throughout his life, David Rockefeller donated over $1 billion to charity. So what are the secrets of the Rockefellers? In a rare interview, David Rockefeller Jr., chairman of Rockefeller and Company, said that his family developed a system of traditional values and different institutions that keep the members united and together preserve the wealth. These are very useful for families trying to raise children with a proper view of money, even if you are not very wealthy. First are regular family meetings. We have family meetings twice a year, often with more than 100 people having Christmas lunch in one room, for example. We have something that can be called a family forum. When you turn 21, you are invited to attend these meetings. At family gatherings, we talk about direction, projects, new members, and any other family news related to careers or significant milestones. The important thing is that everyone feels like they are part of this family, even if they are just married into our family. Rockefeller said that maintaining family history is also very important. The Rockefellers do this partly through a shared house, where they can gather and connect with the family's past. This is a familiar location passed down through many generations. I can go back to where my great-grandfather lived over 100 years ago and see how he, his son, and his grandchildren lived. No longer maintaining a family business is also a key factor. Rockefeller said many disputes in wealthy families start from business. For example, who should run it, how it should be run, and who should benefit. The Rockefeller family has not owned a family business since 1911, when Standard Oil was broken up by the government into listed companies due to new antitrust laws. The result of that sudden change was that the Rockefeller assets went from owning one giant company to owning many publicly listed companies, combined with a series of carefully drafted trusts. The stocks and financial assets were easily passed down to future generations with minimal financial risk. Of course, the wealth in our family comes from Standard Oil's oil business, Rockefeller said. However, the business did not bring us together, while many families were split because of it. Incidentally, I think we were lucky not to own a business that could divide everyone in the family. We had a business that brought wealth through generations and was passed down to more and more people. However, we did not have a core business. The strongest glue holding the Rockefeller family together is family values, specifically philanthropy. They established many different funds, including the Rockefeller Foundation, the Rockefeller Brothers Fund, and the David Rockefeller Fund, with total grants worth over $5 billion. Family members are encouraged to participate in the funds and help choose the causes they want to support. By focusing on family identity, the Rockefellers have maintained core values. The person who had the mantra engraved in stone at the Rockefeller Center, "Every right has a responsibility, every opportunity has an obligation, and every possession is a duty." David Rockefeller recalled that he first did charity with the money he earned at the age of 10. End of part 1. John D. Rockefeller would receive money on Sundays and set aside a portion for the church or other charitable causes, much like his great-grandfather John Rockefeller Sr., who used small portions of his first salary to make donations. According to David Rockefeller, if these values didn't exist, words would lose their power. Therefore, the family has made every effort to nurture these values. John D. Rockefeller was known as the wealthiest of the wealthy, with an estimated fortune of $663 billion in 2007. He was widely respected for his ambition and drive to amass wealth. His desire to feel significant in his work was the primary motivation behind his wealth, and his journey and life story vividly illustrate this. Let's learn from this great businessman, the richest man in history. According to Forbes, his wealth was equivalent to about $663 billion in 2007. His rapid accumulation of wealth earned him admiration and respect. However, his ambition and drive also instilled fear in many, as at the time he became a billionaire, there were only a few millionaires in the entire United States. To understand Rockefeller's drive and ambition, we need to explore his extraordinary rise to the top. From a young age, Rockefeller demonstrated an innate talent for making money. One day, he noticed a wild hen looking for a quiet place to nest. His mother told him to catch the hen and bring it home to raise. It took him 2 days with no success, but like many success stories, Rockefeller possessed a relentless determination. He refused to give up, continuing to watch the hen closely. After 2 more days, he managed to catch both the hen and her chicks. This chicken-raising venture was Rockefeller's first business. He sold the chickens and saved the money, refraining from spending it. By the age of 11, due to financial difficulties at home, he started working for a neighboring farmer. He saved his wages until he had a significant sum, which he then lent out for interest. He realized that the interest earned from his savings in 1 year equaled 10 days of hard labor. This insight led him to decide to make money work for him. As he grew older, Rockefeller took on various jobs to make a living, from selling goods to working as an accountant, eventually finding his calling in the oil industry. Regardless of the job, whether it made him rich or not, young Rockefeller lived very frugally, contrary to the common belief that it was the oil industry that made him wealthy. John D. Rockefeller was a money-making machine, no matter the job. However, it was the oil industry that gave him access to vast markets. Together with 2 friends, he founded Standard Oil. As the company grew, he continually reinvested his profits back into the business. He expanded his operations and reduced competition by using his saved capital to systematically buy out other oil refineries. Even after becoming a billionaire, Rockefeller continued to work diligently and lived a modest lifestyle, akin to a respectable middle-class gentleman. Although his living standards improved and his habits evolved, Rockefeller maintained a simple and thrifty lifestyle. He spent the last 40 years of his life focusing on philanthropy, primarily in education and public health. He dedicated his wealth to these social causes. Was Rockefeller's drive to amass wealth meant to benefit humanity? That is true, but only partially. He found personal fulfillment in his work. No one can succeed without loving what they do. His strong desire to feel significant in his work was a powerful motivator for John D. Rockefeller, enabling him to earn billions of dollars, most of which he did not use for personal gain. At 25, John Rockefeller managed one of the largest oil refineries in the United States. By 31, he was the largest oil businessman in the world. At 38, he controlled 90% of the oil in the U.S., and he retired at 58 as the richest man in America, eventually becoming the richest person in the world. Critics viewed Rockefeller as a ruthless and greedy capitalist who destroyed competition and created monopolies. However, his supporters saw him as a business genius whose enterprises thrived even during economic downturns. They regarded him as a self-made man who stabilized an unstable industry, created jobs, reduced oil prices, and became one of the greatest philanthropists in history. Rarely in history has there been such a controversial figure. Fortunately, you can learn many principles from the oil king's approach to building his empire and achieving success in every endeavor. If there is an overarching principle to Rockefeller's success, it is encapsulated in his motto, "I would rather control myself than be controlled by others." One of Rockefeller's most prominent traits was his extraordinary self-control. He continuously trained himself to master his emotions, directing all his desires towards achieving his goals.